From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday called on the Bureau of Customs or BOC and Bureau of Internal Revenue or BIR to expand and strengthen their efforts to protect the country's tobacco industry against smuggling of tobacco and vape products. During the 6th Private Sector Advisory Council Agriculture Sector Group or PSAC ASG meeting in Malacañang on Wednesday, the chief executive recognized the anti-smuggling measures of the government, but he sought for intensified enforcement by the BOC and BIR. In response, Special Assistant to the President on Economic and Economic Affairs, Frederick Go, said he has been assured by the Department of Trade and Industry Consumer Protection Group or DTI CPG that they will be assigning a significant number of people just to monitor the vape industry. BIR Commissioner Romeo Lumagi Jr. told the President that his agency has intensified its crackdown against smuggled vape products and is in fact going to implement a tax stamp system to determine those that are illicit. For his part, the PSAC ASG made several recommendations and policy requirements to ensure the protection of the tobacco industry. The advisory body pushed a move tasking the Department of Budget and Management or DBM to release funds as prescribed under Republic Act or RA 4155 for the National Tobacco Authority or NTA Sustainable Tobacco Enhancement Program or STEP. It also sought amendments to the Anti-Agri-Smuggling Act of 2016 to include tobacco products. The body also wants provision on minimum retail price or MRP and penalties for distributing and selling smuggled products. The body also called on the DTI to set a deadline for the registration of importers and manufacturers of vapor products and the BIR to start imposing tax requirements on tobacco and vapor products. There must also be sustained enforcement of laws against smugglers and retailers of smuggled tobacco and vapor products, the body said. Operations involving these products should also be reported to the Office of the President on a monthly basis. The Philippine tobacco industry provides livelihood to 2.2 million Filipinos. Tobacco excise tax makes up 4% of total government revenues or 135 billion pesos in 2023. The government earmarks 50% of excise tax collection for universal health care under the Department of Health or DOH and PhilHealth, as well as for the Health Facilities Enhancement Program or HFEP.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news stories, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday said he is bent on bringing back the Uniteam Alliance ahead of the 2025 elections. In his keynote speech after witnessing the signing of an alliance agreement between the Partido Federal ng Pilipinas or PFP and Lakas Christian Muslim Democrats or Lakas CMD in a ceremony at the Manila Polo Club in Makati City, the president said the Uniteam, which was an alliance formed by President Marcos and Vice President Sara Duterte for their electoral bid in 2022, achieved success in the last elections. The chief executive added he was encouraged by the overwhelming support of the Filipino people during the 2022 presidential elections, prompting the creation of the Uni Team. Meanwhile, President Marcos said the Philippines needs to be positioned in a way to take advantage of the new economy. The Philippine president added that in order to achieve this, an all-of-government approach is needed, anchored on unity so that many things can be accomplished.
What we have conceptualized is what really began in the previous campaign and the previous election. And we are encouraged, lumakas ang loob natin dahil ang isinisigaw natin nung kampanya ay ang pagkakaisa, unity. Kaya't binuo natin yung tinatawag nga naman na Uni Team. And ito naman, nakita naman natin na tanggap ng taong bayan ang ating mensahe tungkol sa pagkakaisa. At bukod pa doon, nung tayo matagumpay na sa ating kampanya, matagumpay na tayo sa eleksyon, ang dinala natin, ipinagpatuloy natin yung ating pagkakaisa. Dahil nasimula natin yung tinatawag natin na whole of government approach, na lahat ng bahagi, lahat ng ehensya, lahat ng departamento ng pamahalaan ay sabay-sabay ang galaw. At hindi lamang kagaya ng dati, kung minsan sinasabi, itong mga project na ito sa DPWH lang yan, ito sa DOH yan, hindi na tayo ganun ngayon. Tayo ay nagkakaisa. At sinasabi natin, lahat ng kayang tumulong ay dapat may kasama sa pagtulong, sa pagpaganda ng buhay ng bawat isang Pilipino. Ngayon, kasama din natin dyan ang legislature. Hindi natin kayang gawin executive lamang. Dahil ang ginawa natin, what we are talking about here was transformative politics. We are transforming. We are not recovering. Matagal ko nang sinasabi, lalo na sa mga nagtatanong sa amin, the economy is recovering. Sabi ko, hindi ako interesado mag-recover na bumalik tayo sa 2019. Kailangan palitan natin talaga ang patakbo ng pamahalaan. Kailangan natin palitan at pag-isip ang ating patakbo ng kung saan tayo tutungo. And we have to position the Philippines in a way that will take full advantage of the new economy. And to do that, we have to make some very fundamental structural and policy changes. We cannot do those policy changes without the support of the legislature. Legislative support for any policy is absolutely necessary. And so that is what I talk about when I talk about the all-of-government approach, where it's no longer just the executive who is expected to implement programs or to be part of the economic progress, part of the development of the country. But we also need the legislative support that will allow us to execute these policy changes that we are seeing right now. At kaya naman, malakas ang loob natin na balik-balikan ang ating konsepto ng pagkakaisa. Dahil siguro naman ay nakita natin sa nakaraang magiging 2 taon na, sa nakaraang 2 taon ay nakita natin na yung pagkakaisa na binuo natin bago pa nung kampanya, nung nakaraan, bago pa nung kampanya hanggang sa eleksyon, at pag nung tayo umupo na, ay nagkakaisa pa rin tayo, ay marami tayong nagagawa. Marami tayong maipakita na pagbabago, marami tayong natutulungan ng mga Pilipino, at papunta na nga tayo sa ating pinapangarap na tinatawag nating bagong Pilipinas.
And you just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos joined the inspection of the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development or DHSUD at the Pasig Bigyang Buhay Muli or PBBM Urban Renewal and Development Project in Intramuros, Manila. Among with DHSUD Secretary Jose Rizalino Acuzar and Intramuros Administration Head Joan Padilla, the First Lady walked through an area of Phase 1C of the PBBM project, which is the Intramuros Showcase area behind the Manila Central Post Office. During the inspection, Secretary Acuzar provided the First Lady with updates on the project's progress and highlighted key features of the area. The phase includes a view deck atop proposed commercial shops. The design of these shops draws inspiration from the world-renowned and historic Intramuros Wall. Walk paths and bike lanes have also been incorporated to enhance the picturesque view. Acuzar expressed his appreciation for the first couple's support in rehabilitating the Pasig River. The First Lady, who advocated for the rehabilitation of Pasig River, envisions the tourist destination like the Thames River in London, the Seine in Paris, and the Chao Phraya in Thailand. On July 25, 2023, President Marcos issued Executive Order Number 35 mandating the rehabilitation of the Pasig River to its historically pristine condition conducive to transport, recreation, and tourism. The First Lady was the first to throw her full commitment to the project.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Philippines Department of National Defense or DND assured the public that they are taking the necessary steps to protect their side, the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP, and the Filipino people. This is Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr.'s response to the spreading of disinformation, deception, and the undesirable steps of China with regards to the West Philippine Sea. Because of this, Secretary Teodoro said they will further strengthen operational security measures to counter the wrongdoings of China. Teodoro's response came when he was asked for his reaction to the statement of the Chinese embassy in the Philippines saying they have a recording of the conversation between them and a military official, which according to Teodoro is against Philippine law because this was not coursed through the necessary agencies like the Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA. That's why the DND Secretary left it to the DFA to name the person behind the wiretapping and be held responsible under existing laws. Meanwhile, Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Bronner Jr. ignored the statement of the Chinese embassy saying that they have a recording of a Chinese diplomat with AFP Western Command Chief Vice Admiral Alberto Carlos on the New Deal at the Ayungin Shoal. In an interview, General Bronner said the statement of the Chinese embassy should be ignored because this is a malign influence effort by the Chinese Communist Party or CPP. According to the AFP chief, transcripts can easily be fake and one can create an audio recording using deepfakes. General Bronner underscored that the statement of the Chinese embassy only serves to divert the attention of the public on the aggressive actions of the Chinese Coast Guard in the West Philippine Sea. The AFP chief called on the public and the media to be careful in propagating unverified information that can increase tensions in the West Philippine Sea.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Navy or PN on Wednesday successfully tested the firepower of two of its newest war assets during the maritime strike deal of Balikatan 39 2024 exercise in Lawag, Ilocos Norte Province. According to PN Public Affairs Office Chief Commander John Percy Alcos, first to attack the target, the decommissioned ship of the PNBRP Lake Kaliraya was the Fast Attack Interdiction Craft or FAIC, which used the non-line of sight or NLOS missile. This was followed by the BRP Jose Rizal's Sea Star surface-to-surface anti-ship missile, which hit the target with pinpoint accuracy. Beside the missile strike, among those that joined the exercise were various naval and aerial assets of the Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP and United States Armed Forces or USAF that targeted the ship using different weapons as part of the coordinated and multidimensional nature of modern warships.
Dateline Malacañang.
And news from Philippine government agencies. The Philippines Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD on Wednesday said it will continue to reinforce its various programs and services that will help eligible Filipinos who are in need of assistance, including those in crisis due to job loss. This after the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA reported an increase in unemployment rate from 3.5% in February to 3.9% in March, particularly in agriculture due to the El Nino phenomenon. DSWD spokesperson and Assistant Secretary for Disaster Response Management Group or DRMG, Irene Dumlao, said unemployed Filipinos may avail of DSWD programs and services subject to the assessment of social workers and provided they meet the eligibility requirements. In a news release, Dumlao said unemployed individuals may participate in the Sustainable Livelihood Program or SLP of the DSWD. SLP is a capacity building program for the identified poor, vulnerable, and marginalized households and communities aimed at providing viable interventions and support to improve the participants' socio-economic conditions by accessing and acquiring necessary assets to engage in and maintain thriving livelihoods. SLP beneficiaries will receive Seed Capital Fund or SCF, Cash for Building Livelihood Assets Fund or CBLAF, Skills Training Fund or STF, or Employment Assistance Fund or EAF. Among those eligible for SLP assistance are members of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program or 4Ps and households who are poor, vulnerable, and marginalized identified through the agency's National Household Targeting System for Poverty Reduction or NHTSPR. Apart from livelihood and employment facilitation services, the DSWD is providing cash for training or CFT and cash for work or CFW through the agency's Project Lawa, Local Adaptation to Water Access, and Binhi, Breaking Insufficiency through Nutritious Harvest for the Impoverished. The project aims to strengthen the adaptive capabilities of the impoverished and vulnerable families in addressing the challenges during periods of severe drought. It focuses on mitigating the impact of food insecurity and water scarcity brought about by the El Nino phenomenon.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Department of Education or DepEd on Wednesday said it is now preparing concrete plans to prevent learning loss as it braces for fewer school days in the upcoming school year 2024 to 2025. This came after Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. gave a go signal to revert to the old school calendar starting next school year. In a television interview, DepEd Assistant Secretary Francis Bringas said the agency included in its proposal letter to the President a more aggressive approach which shall reduce school days to 165. Under the proposal, the end of the school year or EOSY for the current academic year will be on May 31st. The opening of SY 2024 to 2025 shall be on July 29 with its target end on March 31, 2025, and starting SY 2025 to 2026, classes will start by June. Bringas said these approaches shall be specified once the preparation of the DepEd curriculum and teaching strands is finalized. The DepEd Assistant Secretary also said the adjustments in the coverage of learning competencies shall also be made for the Matatag curriculum. The Matatag curriculum will be initially implemented in kinder, grades 1, 4, and 7 starting the coming school year. Matatag stands for Make the Curriculum Relevant to Produce Job-Ready, Active, and Responsive Citizens, take steps to accelerate the delivery of basic education services and provision facilities, take good care of learners by promoting learner well-being, inclusiveness learning, and positive learning environment, and give support for teachers to teach better.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, even though the effects of the El Nino phenomenon is slowly dying down, the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAG-ASA expects the continuous hot and humid weather in a large portion of the country this month. According to the El Nino Advisory Bulletin by PAG-ASA, even though 1 or 2 storms are expected to enter the Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR this May, below normal rainfall will still be experienced in majority of the areas in Luzon and Visayas. Because of this, drought conditions will most probably still exist in 23 provinces in Luzon, 15 provinces in the Visayas, and 9 provinces in Mindanao. PAG-ASA said 7 provinces will possibly be hit by dry spell, while 8 will experience dry conditions. Currently, the possibility of La Nina to form in June and July is around 60%. PAG-ASA earlier said the onset of the rainy season will most likely be delayed due to the El Nino.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.